No Williams with 4 snaps the other night.
That's borderline terrorist activity. I mean, I'm being straight up. Somebody needs to put Spags on a watch list at this point after that. Like, I don't understand how you do that.
You can go down the list. Everybody's mad at everybody. They think Andy sucks. They think Patrick sucks. They think Travis Kelce needs to retire. They think Harrison Butker caused the Chiefs to lose every football game this season. All kinds of weird things, right? Everybody's hitting that panic button. They're averaging 7.5 yards per offensive play, which is insane. Teams that average 7.5 yards per play or more were 33-0.
Yeah.
So that is the first game in 34 games that a team managed to beat a team that was averaging 7.5 yards per play. The Chiefs are doing that on the reg right now, which makes you think they are more likely to win than not. And things are going to get even better with the return of Rashee Rice. We have the Detroit Lions coming into Arrowhead, and they're missing Terrion Arnold. He's out for an extended period of time. So they got a soft spot in their secondary. I don't know, man. I think people are freaking out a little too soon.
In 2021, Steve, the Chiefs started 2-3. We finished that season 12-5 and went to the AFC Championship game. This is 5 years ago. The Chiefs did this exact same thing and went on an epic run and went 12-5 and went to an AFC Championship game. It is not over for Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think it is, just jump off the bandwagon now.
Because I think the Chiefs are coming. I think the Chiefs are coming fast. And I don't know if people are exactly ready for what they're about to see. And that might be me being a little bit optimistic. I understand that. But I truly believe that. Look at the statistics and you look at the progression of this team. I think if you're writing the Chiefs off, I think if you think the Chiefs dynasty is over, I think if you think the Chiefs are not going to be competitive this year or make the playoffs, I think you're going to feel very stupid later on this season.
Oh, absolutely. I think you feel like an idiot, straight up.
You're listening to All Chiefed Up, the podcast.
Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It is Wednesday, October the 8th. We're coming off a Monday night loss to the Jacksonville freaking Jaguars, 31-28. It was a weird game. A lot of things went wrong, but there were some positive things to pull from it. So we're going to talk about that today. How we doing, Mike?
Doing as good as you can be since the Chiefs are 2-3. You know, it's a struggle bus kind of season. But I feel like if you looked at how we won our games last year, though, it was similar. Like, we kept saying this, and a lot of people kept saying this, like, you know, if a few things don't go your way here or there, you're not blowing teams out. You're not, you know, putting your foot on their throat and throttling it up a notch and blowing these teams out. You're leaving it close. You're putting it in the hands of the officials. And boy, did we see that last night in the hands of the officials, man. I don't know if I've seen a penalty dispersion any bigger than that in a long time.
I believe it was called Penalty Fest 2025.
Yeah, 13 penalties for the Chiefs, 4 for the Jaguars. And I want to say 3 out of their 4 was just a delay of game. Had nothing to do with anything they did on the field. So that is wild.
Exactly. But the Chiefs are sitting at 2-3. A lot of Chiefs Kingdoms hitting that panic button there, slamming it, buddy. But here's the thing. We are playing the Detroit Lions this coming Sunday. The Lions are a very good football team. Luckily for us, it's at Arrowhead. Maybe we can pull off a win there. But if we don't, then we are kind of in a weird position. 2-4 as the Chiefs in the Patrick Mahomes era is something that we're not accustomed to.
Yeah, it's not. You got to start looking at like playoff odds at this point, right? Like, it's not crazy to think that the Chiefs could maybe slump and miss the playoffs. Now, I'm not writing them off yet. And,
dude, it just makes divisional games so important.
Right. It does.
So important.
And the fact that we're getting Rashee Rice back, that boosted up a notch. And so I'm not panicking yet. I don't think anybody should hit the panic button. But if you look back at this, since 2020, the percentage of teams that's made the playoffs after starting 2-3, 26%. So, I mean, if you think about that, that's, about a 1-4 shot you got working right there. But, I mean, you don't have to go back just to 2020. You can pull all the way back to, say, for example, the 2001 New England Patriots. They started off 2-3. They went on to win the Super Bowl. Right. So I keep telling everybody, hey, look, it looked bad for the 2001 Patriots. They were getting blown out. I think they got beat like 40-6 at one point from somebody. It might have been like the Dolphins or something, like week 4, week 5. It looked horrible for them. They were at like 1-3 at one point. They went on to win the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl in blowout fashion. So it just shows that, if you've got good players like Gronk and Brady, which we do, we've got the Kelseys and the Mahomes of the world. We've got Big Red. We've got the coach. We've got the Belichick. We are the new dynasty. We got to just start thinking like a dynasty and start putting out all the negatives and the naysayers and all the haters and the trolls that come in and want to try to dance on our graves. We got to put that behind us and just focus on what we can control. And what we can control is to play cleaner football, score when we get a chance, and just overall just clean things up and take care of ourselves, because we can't control anybody else.
Right. Well, I think something that a lot of people need to understand, that no matter how good your team is and how good it has been, even in a dynasty run, there are ebbs and flows, right? And sometimes you're going to be on the down end of that. This just so happens to be the first time we've been on the down end of that in probably 7 years. So yes. Chiefs Kingdom is not, like I said, they're accustomed to this. A lot of them freaking out. We got a lot of newer fans, Mike, that are not used to losing football games.
Yep.
And you're seeing it a lot in the comments and on X and everything else. But here's the thing, man. It's going to go back. It's going to come back around. You have Patrick Mahomes. You have Andy Reid. That's not going to continue on for a long period of time, especially with a team that I think is starting to click on a lot of cylinders on the offense, and you're still getting your best offensive weapon coming back after this Detroit Lions game. So he's yet to play a freaking snap, talking about Rashee Rice, who is your best skills player, and we're hanging in there, right? Like, we're hoping to be 3-3, getting Rashee Rice back, because that's a good position, I believe. I think before the season, we actually looked at the schedule and was like, if we can just be 500 when we get him back, we'll be okay. So, I mean, we very well could be.
I mean, we all wanted better than 500.
Of course.
But you had to look at it realistically. And I know a lot of it was, just everybody goofing around. But like when we would do schedule picks and things like that, like we were saying like 5 losses. And I was saying, maybe we lose 6 or 7 this year, but it's not the end of the world. But I remember people just getting so crazy. Like, you really think the Chiefs are going to lose that? Like, we were 15-2 last year. But to go back and look at, what I was saying last year to this year, in games decided by 7 points or less, we were 10-0 last year. This year, we're 0-3. We got the big old goose egg working for us. And if you can't win the close games because you can't stay mentally prepared and disciplined, and you get the little things to go your way, and we'll talk about that in the Jaguars game, because although we were penalized to death, I get it. At the end of the day, we still had plenty of chances to win that game. And we'll get into some of those in a minute, but you've got to figure out a way to start winning these tight games again, because like Patrick Mahomes said, we've already lost too much. And this league is very close in parity across the board. So
Absolutely.
3 points is going to decide the majority of games, and definitely 7 points is going to decide the majority of games. So we've got to start learning to win these tight games again.
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned on a live stream here recently, I think this might be the earliest in a season in the NFL where there are no undefeated teams. Like usually you have one at least hanging out at 8-0, 9-0, sometimes 10-0 and beyond. But this year, man, we're through 5 weeks and there are no undefeated teams. I think the parity in the league is growing closer and closer. And it just is what it is, man. Every Sunday you're playing an NFL team. You're playing a professional football team. So if you don't go out there, you don't put up the best effort, you don't execute, you're going to get beat regardless of who you're playing. I think you've seen that with other teams around the league too, Mike. The Eagles went out and got beat by the Denver Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Denver Broncos has a pretty good defense, but their offense isn't anything spectacular, but they managed to beat them. You saw Buffalo go down the other day. You saw the Chargers go down to the New York Giants. So it can happen any week. The Chiefs have to be prepared for that stuff, and I think that comes along with experience, and we're dealing with a really young team, man. But there are some things that we could be improving on, and the glaring one to me, Mike, and I think it has been for you since the offseason, because you've really been pounding the table for it, is the pass rush. I think that was lacking 2 nights ago in the Jacksonville Jaguars game.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to continue to be a sore spot unless Brett Veach can go out and make a move and try to do something to improve that position. And, we always talk about, well, who's going to let up a player that can move the needle? No one's going to do that. Nay. We saw today that the Baltimore Ravens traded away Odafe Owe to the freaking Chargers, bro. So they're out there making moves, getting good pass rushers. Where are we at? Brett Veach, are you awake? Are you looking around? Because I think you have to make a move.
are the Ravens, is this like a little bit of revenge? They're like, look, the Chargers are our only hope to knock the Chiefs out here. So let's just kind of work together to set this up. But yeah, I'm with you. I think you could get something done. Now, again, is Oweh really going to move the needle all that much? It's possible. Now, I think
he's going to be a hell of a lot better than Charles Omenihu and Mike Dana.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I'll agree with you there. We pressured Trevor Lawrence, not a lot. I think it was 12 of 36 dropbacks, so on about 33% of dropbacks. And he managed to get 7 of 9 of those completed for about 104 yards, but he did get a pick in that time. So we only managed to get 33% of dropbacks under pressure. And although he completed a lot of passes, because a lot of them were dinking and dunking, but I mean, you still forced the turnover. And again, going back to the Chiefs had plenty of chances. Now, look, that turnover he had where McDuffie picked that off, I'm telling you right now, like, look, you could call it incidental, and I think that's what they did. But the rules specifically state, incidental or not, you hit the guy, and it's supposed to be a PI. So I get that. But look,
can I kind of argue that just a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
To me, if you go back and watch the play, it looks like the only reason why there was contact the way it was, yes, it was incidental. But first of all, Trevor Lawrence had not thrown the ball away yet, and I think they were trying to run a rub route with the tight end there.
That's very possible.
If Trevor Lawrence had thrown the ball to that receiver instead of the one that got hit, I think that would have got called more than likely. But it was just like a busted, terrible play, uncatchable ball. I don't know about that one. So, I mean, I understand people being upset about it because by the looks of it, it's like, that's obviously PI.
Right.
But if you really look at it, man, I don't know. I think it's a little bit arguable.
Well, look, okay, but we got the pick, big deal. That worked in our favor. But let's look back at, say, when they got that bogus PI call on Jalen Watson and extended their drive. They ended up going down the field, and they either scored or that's when they got the ball punched out at the goal line. And they
absolutely scored that drive. That's what put them at 14-7.
Right, and so I want to say that was the one that he threw out, and it went off McDuffie's hands and flew up in the air, and Tranquil and Bolton hit each other, and the ball falls to the ground.
Correct.
That was an easy pick right there. So that was another turnover right there that we just left on the table. So we still had plenty of, and again, that was going to take 7 points off the board for them. So we had our shots. Like, don't get me wrong, we had our shots, although it did feel like the refs, and I'm telling you, I know we're not allowed to talk about the officiating because we're the Chiefs and we get all the calls, and it's, all the trolls will get in the chat and be like, it's so funny hearing you guys talk about calls. But
even if it is a fake narrative, they fully believe it.
That's it. It's like a completely fake narrative. And if you really look back right before Patrick Mahomes got here and just go from there back in 2018, dude, we got shafted in every single call we could possibly get shafted against. Go back and look at with Mahomes versus Brady in the AFC Championship game and some of those horrible calls.
That was real bad.
Yeah, so look, it's just crazy. They don't like the Chiefs because they win. But like, if you even look at how many penalties and stuff we got, which was 13 penalties for 109 yards, you were seeing some of the wildest penalties, like Nico Remigio. Nobody even knew that was a penalty. Like, what was Remigio supposed to do? Let the guy come off the block first before he touches him and take a risk on him tackling the ball carrier?
Right. What happened to the National Football League where that's a rule?
It is entirely ridiculous what they've done. And then the entire, it got overturned. But when Kelsey caught the touchdown and they tried to call the OPI on Juju, like, it was a complete legitimate call, but they still had thrown the flag and tried to take that from us. So not only are we sitting at, 13 penalties for 109, they were trying to pull a touchdown off the board, and they had to pick the flag up because they were completely wrong.
Right, and so not only was that play completely legal, by the way, so they made the right call picking the flag up.
1,000% legal.
But you have thousands and thousands of people on the internet gaslighting the shit out of you, trying to tell you that that's illegal. That was a pass interference. Rules, bro. They don't, and if they do, they don't care because it was the Chiefs. So they're going to continue to go with that narrative.
Yeah,
and I'm over that one completely, man. And I'll just call it like I see it. The game against the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chiefs was a complete shit show when it comes to refereeing. It was one of the worst officiated games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was horrendous. I mean, there's no better way to say it. Like, the officials, they need to take a class for new officiating crews and show them this game as to what not to do.
I can sit here and admit 100% that the Chiefs did a lot of things to shoot themselves in the foot and lose that football game. Do I think the referees are the only reason they lost the football game?
No.
I don't. But were the refs part of the reason? Absolutely 110%. I don't know how anyone could even argue that. So it just is what it is.
Well, we talked about Trevor facing pressure on 12 of 36 dropbacks for about 33%. And we seen how horrendous he did. Again, a lot of completion, 7 for 9. But for only about 100 yards, and he had a pick off of that. Mahomes, on the other side, he faced blitzing pressure on 37% of his dropbacks. So Mahomes got blitzed 37% of the time, and he was able to complete that 10 for 15, 104 yards, a touchdown, and then he got the pick.
Why do you think he threw that pick? He's getting blitzed over a third of the plays. They show blitz, leak back, and he got, man. That's all there was to that.
The linebackers fell back into coverage. And
correct.
And I mean, I think he was still being blitzed. I'm almost positive he got blitzed
but
from
Lloyd
the outside. Was it a corner,
blitz.
maybe?
Lloyd showed blitz.
Yeah.
Mahomes 100% thought he was blitzing, so he thought he would get the pass out quick straight to Juju, and he got.
Yeah,
Lloyd fell back into coverage, and he threw it straight to him.
It was Jacksonville was playing man across the board, just straight up man, and the two linebackers were playing like a hook zone thing. So they were disguising coming in, and they just hooked back into a zone. And Mahomes just 1,000% just thought he had it right, and he just forced it right to the receiver. And
that's not a weird thing, man. It's not like a bad play. It sucks, but at the same time, that happens.
Right, and that was a big turning point in that game. The winning percentage for the Jacksonville Jaguars was at 28%. When they got that pick six, it went up by 42 percentage points per next-gen stats. It went all the way to 70% in favor of the Jaguars. That is an insane turnaround off one play, but that's what happens when you get a 14-point swing.
Of course, and I think what people need to be talking about in that situation is not that Patrick Mahomes misread the defense and turned the ball over, because that happens all the time in the National Football League by good quarterbacks. But what needs to be talked about is the fact that they're in the red zone with a successful running game up to that point, and they don't even run the football. You have to think about this. Kareem Hunt had 2 touchdowns in that game, yet here we were in the red zone. Why are we not pounding the football, bro? I think that's something they got to continue to do more. The red zone play calling has gotten so predictable that it's not working, and you can see that.
Yeah, I think they wanted to take advantage because it felt like to me that the Jags were playing a lot of zone on the night. So they were playing zone after zone after zone. So eventually on that play where it got picked, the linebackers did drop back into a zone, but they were running man across the board. So it was almost like the equivalent of the split safeties with half the field doing something, whatever. But this was everybody playing man. Linebackers played zone randomly. So it was that kind of thing. And Mahomes was eating the zone alive. He faced zone on 46 dropbacks, which is 74%. So basically 3 out of every 4 plays, they played zone, and Mahomes ate it up. He was 27 for 32 for over 300 yards versus the zone, and he completed 34 out of 46 of those. So he ate the zone alive. When they played man coverage, though, Mahomes couldn't make nothing work. He was 2 for 9 for one touchdown, 1 pick, and only 7 yards versus man. And that's per next gen stats as well. So it's not PFF. It's not what everybody likes to do. Like that was specifically like ESPN next gen. Like they're one of the most respected for coming out with numbers like that. So Mahomes mightily struggled versus man coverage yesterday. And I don't know what it was. Does that go back to receivers not being able to get open on man coverage? Or does that just go to like, say, Andy's scheme is just so predictable?
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's a discussion to be had, especially right there in the red zone. That's where we've had a little bit of struggles. Got to put that ball in the end zone, man. Like you said, a 14-point swing, that's huge in any game. That's hard to recover from, especially in a tight game.
Absolutely.
So it just is what it is. That was definitely the turning point in that game. To me, I feel like the turning point in the game might have been more around the bogus PI on Jalen Watson that allowed them to get another first down and then continue that drive for 8 or 9 minutes and put 7 up to make it a 1-score game, when they should have been punting the ball away and maybe the Chiefs going up by 3 scores. That was a turning point. But that pick six was where it got flipped up on its head, and it was just all downhill from there. But Mike, like I said earlier, a lot of people's hitting the panic button. You can go down the list. Everybody's mad at everybody. They think Andy sucks. They think Patrick sucks. They think Travis Kelce needs to retire. They think Harrison Butker caused the Chiefs to lose every football game this season. All kinds of weird things, right? Everybody's hitting that panic button. But can I just bring something up? And this is something that has been brought up by a couple of other people. I believe Colin Cowherd has talked about this just a bit, which is weird because he's a Chiefs hater. And then there might have been one or two other guys to bring this up, but I just want to bring this to your attention. So the Chiefs are actually playing pretty good football at the moment. They've turned it on in the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially since last week when they had the return of Xavier Worthy, kind of helped the offense get going, right? So the Chiefs, they're averaging 7.5 yards per play. They're averaging 7.5 yards per offensive play, which is insane. And put that into perspective, they did lose the game last night, or 2 nights ago, whatever. I'll get it right one of these days. But either way, they lost that game. But prior to that, teams that averaged 7.5 yards per play or more were 33-0.
Yeah.
So that is the first game in 34 games that a team managed to beat a team that was averaging 7.5 yards per play. The Chiefs are doing that on the reg right now, which makes you think they are more likely to win than not. And things are going to get even better with the return of Rashee Rice. And then this coming week, on Sunday night, we have the Detroit Lions coming into Arrowhead, and they're missing Terrion Arnold. He's out for an extended period of time. So they got a soft spot in their secondary. I don't know, man. I think people are freaking out a little too soon. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think, look, I understand Detroit's a tough game, but you've also got to put into perspective. The Chiefs at some point they're a championship caliber team. They are a dynasty caliber team. They are still led by the 4 best pillars in football that you would take those 4 over anybody, that being Kelce, Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Big Red.
Correct.
You take those over any other 4 pieces in football right now. And so those guys are going to find a fire in them or a determination unless they just want to go home and have a nice, maybe they all want to go to the Pro Bowl this year. I don't know what they want to do. But if they want to save face and turn it around, I firmly believe they will. And I believe that they are the group to do it. So I'm not overly worried about that. And I don't worry so much about Detroit. Yes, they're putting up points and this and that, but man, it's different to come into Arrowhead. It's different for that crowd. It's different that the Chiefs are going to be playing, with a losing record. They're hungry to get back to 500. They're a little excited because Rashee's getting ready to come back. I think it's just going to be a little closer game. Like, people writing off the Chiefs in this game already and putting us at 2-4. To me, it's just weird energy, because if me and you were sitting here doing this, people would be unsubscribing from this channel left and right and telling us we're like crazy haters and you're not real Chiefs fans. Like, you hear it all the time. But yeah, our fan base, every 3 out of 4 tweets or comments we read right now is complete and utter they're just in the dumps. It's chaos. The sky is falling on Kansas City right now. And I'll say one more thing, and I'll kick it back to you to wherever you want to go next. But in 2021, Steve, the Chiefs started 2-3. We finished that season 12-5 and went to the AFC Championship game. So again, this is recent. This is no other team. This is 5 years ago. The Chiefs did this exact same thing and went on an epic run and went 12-5 and went to an AFC Championship game. It is not over for Kansas City, ladies and gentlemen. And if you think it is, just jump off the bandwagon now. Or, matter of fact, you're probably just so new to the bandwagon you don't understand that you probably wouldn't even with us in 2021 to remember that. It's kind of wild.
Right. I'd like to bring up a couple of things. We had Warren Sharp on the channel about 2 months ago, roughly, and we were talking about predictions for the Chiefs season. And he literally said, I think this Chiefs team could go 12-5 or 11-6. And he said, with a caveat that they're still a better football team than they were last year at 15-2. And I don't think he's wrong. I think they're on pace to maybe be that exact thing, because they've already dropped 3 games, right? It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities for them to drop 3 more. I mean, they have this Detroit Lions game coming up. They got Buffalo coming up. They got some tough divisional games. They got to play the Colts. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are doing well right now that the Chiefs have on their schedule. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. But like I said earlier, this Chiefs team is humming along and progressing at a rate faster than people think, because I think the Chiefs are coming. I think the Chiefs are coming fast. And I don't know if people are exactly ready for what they're about to see. And yeah, that might be me being a little bit optimistic. I understand that. But I truly believe that, because if you look at the statistics and you look at the progression of this team, like I said, 7.5 yards per play on offense, that's hard to deal with. It really is. And that's what the Chiefs are doing right now. I think if you're writing the Chiefs off, I think if you think the Chiefs dynasty is over, I think if you think the Chiefs are not going to be competitive this year or make the playoffs, I think you're going to feel very stupid later on this season.
Oh, absolutely. I think you feel like an idiot, straight up. Like, you cannot tell me right now. Look, the Chiefs had an epic run last year, 15-2, most wins in franchise history. We started the season 9-0 before we dropped to Buffalo, and that was literally 30-21, and it was from some kind of stupid Josh Allen play there at the end of the game. But we literally chunked off everything but Buffalo until we got to Denver and didn't play our starters. Think about that.
Right.
But through 5 games, we were 5-0 last year. We were looking for running game because Pacheco was injured. Hollywood Brown hadn't played any. We were trying to find wide receivers. We were even debating on trying to go get another wide receiver and go through that crap again. You cannot tell me that this team right now, at 7.5 yards per play, and this is without our best playmaker in the lineup.
Exactly.
This is without Andy sticking to a run game. Legitly. Correct. This is without us finding what we do best in the red zone right now. This is without Xavier Worthy for 3 weeks. This team right now at 2-3, in my opinion, is just as good or better than last year's 5-0 team. If you put these two teams on the field, this team this year probably finds a way to win the game, unless the other team just guts it out through like an Andy Reid, almost like just a novelty like game plan that he comes up with.
The difference is that we've gotten even younger, right? So there's a lot of inexperience there, and that grinding those games out and, getting the ball to bounce your way sometimes comes along with just the experience of being in those positions. So I think that the Chiefs are learning right now. You have guys like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, a lot of those guys that have been there before, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith. But you have a massive amount of guys on this roster that have not played in these kind of tight games all the time. I think they're learning.
Even Hollywood Brown, he did it 3-4 games last year. So it's not crazy. And then if you look at how we had won last year, how did we get to 5-0 last year? We got lucky, and the dude grew out his toenail too long in week 1. Last play of the game, they call a PI on Cincy. You know what I'm saying? So that comes down to the wire. We get Atlanta on Sunday Night Football.
They didn't call pass interference on Brian Cook.
Right, they didn't call that. And then Nick Bolton had a hell of a play where he blew up a run there where they were going to push it in the end zone there late. And then, of course, the Chargers and the Saints kind of sucked. And the Chargers, I'm sure there was something in that Chargers.
Against the Broncos.
Right, you had that going. So we had everything going our way. And I'm telling you, I feel like this team this year is more explosive. And they are a better team. Now, our defense has taken a step back. And we need to start talking about the defense a little bit because I think people want to hear that. But I think offensively, this team is night and day better than last year.
Yeah, I believe so too. And I think it's pretty apparent. Now, here's the main thing. Patrick Mahomes is getting a lot more time in the pocket. Patrick Mahomes has more time to scan the field. When Patrick Mahomes has time to get to his third, fourth reads, and there are guys that are extending plays, like Tyquan Thornton has been doing, like Travis Kelce is notorious for doing, I think that Mahomes is going to have good football games. And I think he had a good football game the other night against Jaguars. It just didn't go in our favor, right? I think he still played a pretty good football game other than that pick six. If you could take that one little blemish off there, if you turn that into a touchdown, Mahomes had a hell of a night. So I think you'll see a lot more of that going forward. So I'm right there with you on the offense. I do think that they're in a good place. I think they're going to continue to get better when they get Rice back. And the more chemistry that Patrick Mahomes gets with Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown, and maybe they could get Jalen Royals into this offense a little bit, maybe they could start going to Brashard Smith a little bit more than they've been going to him, because he's proven time and time again that he is a weapon. Yeah. He's a weapon. Mike, I had guys that are not Chiefs fans texting me during and after that game, Brashard Smith is going to be a beast. Why don't they use him more? And I'm like, hey, it's just Andy. Andy takes it slow. But, I mean, I think everyone sees it. Brashard Smith is special. He's got some special abilities that, people just don't have. He might have been drafted in the 7th round. I thought maybe he should have went 4th, 5th. But he got drafted in the 7th, but that doesn't mean he don't have something that other guys don't have. He's got a natural intuition to make things happen, and he's got the ability to do it. He's fast. He's smooth. He glides around. He sees the field well. He's a hell of a receiver. I think they just got to use him more. But let's move it over to the defense, because that's what you wanted to talk about. And I guess the first thing I'll bring up, which is what I already touched on, was the pass rush is just lacking severely. You have George Karlaftis and Chris Jones getting the bulk of the pressure on the quarterback. You have Charles Omenihu underperforming, Mike Dana underperforming, Ashton Gillotte trying to get his feet wet and set in the NFL. I mean, he's a smaller guy. He's having a little bit of trouble right now. He's got the motor, and I think he will get there, but it's going to take him some time. And then you got Omar Norman Lott, who I think could be there already, as young as he is, but he just can't stay healthy on the football field. So I think that's a problem. And then I think with the secondary, they've actually been playing pretty decent outside of just some boneheaded plays. They have a tough time getting their head turned around. They have a tough time just doing little basic things. And is that because they're undisciplined? Is that because they're inexperienced? Is it because of personnel? Because I do feel like Steve Spagnuolo is being a little bit stubborn with who he has on the football field. No Williams with 4 snaps the other night.
Yeah, we can't have no Williams getting 4 snaps. You
That's crazy.
Cannot do that. That's borderline terrorist activity. I mean, I'm being straight up. Somebody needs to put Spags on a watch list at this point after that. Like, I don't understand how you do that. And I am still scared to death that any day now, the way that he is with Chamari Connor, and matching him up on slot receivers or guys in the slot and giving him those one-on-one matchups, and he's just getting toasted with it. The way he's doing this over and over, I'm telling you, it's only going to be just a matter of time before he decides Najee Johnson needs to come back to this defense.
Yes. Yeah.
And then where does Noah Williams have to start getting his snaps from? Because Christian Fulton's not even healthy yet. So when he comes back, you're fighting that too. You could be fighting Najee Johnson for snaps. It's absurd that Christian Fulton's not playing right now, Nazee's not playing, and it's like you said, it's malpractice that they've not got Noah Williams, our highest rated defender, albeit in small doses and limited snaps. But the kid is a beast man-to-man, and the Chiefs were playing a lot of man-to-man on 3rd downs yesterday. And Trevor Lawrence was eating it up, mainly because he was getting out of the pocket with his legs. Correct. But, like, you still seen Jalen Watson just get torched in the last series, and he gets beat by, a pretty good wide receiver. The cat from LSU, I always forget his name, Brian Thomas Jr. He gets beat by him. I get it. That was a perfectly thrown ball. He probably should have knocked it down. He mistimed it.
I believe so.
But then he turns around and gets beat by De'Ami Brown. I mean, come on. That dude hasn't made a catch since he was at North Carolina. Like, So you don't get beat like that. And it's just, it's one of those things where I feel like it was just dumb to not play him, because it feels like to me this is a rookie that is showing beautiful promise and somebody that can help you so much in upcoming weeks, especially when you can't get guys healthy. It's not like Jalen Watson's the most healthy guy in the world. Christian Fulton has been paid so much money right now, and this dude could have bought a ticket off StubHub and attended as many games as he's went to. So it's like you need to get Noah Williams game action, and last night was perfect. And why they didn't do it, I have no idea. To me, that was Spag's biggest blunder of the night, besides not putting a QB spy on Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Well, you have a lot of young guys. You have some injuries. I think you need to get them out there and get them some experience early, right? I mean, we've been wanting to see it on the other side of the field. We keep begging the table for Brashard Smith to get more carries.
Who's our other guy that covers the slot pretty well, and he's had a pretty good season so far?
Christian Roland Wallace.
Yes. Do you want to know how many snaps he had last night?
I don't know. I didn't even look, but I don't want to know. I don't think.
You said that Chamari Connor took all 58, and he did. Yeah. Only him, McDuffie, and Nick Bolton took every single snap.
McDuffie And Nick Bolton should absolutely take every snap.
Chamari Connor took 58. He took 100% of the snaps. Christian Roland Wallace only took 11 snaps and only 8 in coverage. And he is the best defensive graded safety we have on the team. And that includes Jaden Hicks. He outscored Jaden Hicks by 30 points last night. He outscored Chamari Connor by 30 points. He did not. Brian Cook outscored him by 0.3. 71.5 to 71.2.
I saw someone put Brian Cook on the list of people that sucked last night, and I could have fell over.
Brian Cook probably played his best game he's played with us.
Potentially the best game he's played. He looked pretty damn good. The defense,
33 coverage snaps, and he only allowed one reception on one target. So, yeah, he gave up 100%, but it went for 3 yards.
Right.
Like, what do you want?
Well, I don't think you can afford to be picky with your personnel on defense right now as far as they're young, they're rookies, they're not going to see the field as much. You just can't do it. They're a completely young defense, right? And I think the equivalent of not putting Noel Williams on the football field last night, even though he's probably your best graded defender, I think it's the equivalent of like back in the day. Do you remember when Larry Bird went out and played a game and he decided he was only going to shoot left-handed the entire time? Ended up scoring like 40 points. Do you remember that? Well, that's what Steve Spagnuolo did to himself last night, but he's not Larry freaking Bird.
Right.
And it's like, why would you hinder yourself from playing at the best of your ability? You have a guy that could really contribute to the team. Mike, you brought up Christian Roland Wallace. This is another guy that can contribute to the team. He's had a turnover or two already. No Williams is a ball hawk. No Williams is physical. No Williams can do a lot of in-man coverage. Why did we do this to ourselves? It makes no sense when those guys are completely healthy for them not to be on the football field for more than a combined 15 snaps when Chamari Connor, who got worked more than just about anybody else on the football field, played 100% of the snaps. And I understand that Steve Spagnuolo has some kind of weird love affair with Chamari Connor. He just loves that kid. He thinks he's the greatest thing ever. And I love the confidence. But you have to be realistic, man. And he just isn't that good sometimes. And he doesn't need to be out there 100% of the game.
Chamari Connor allowed 3 targets, 3 receptions on 3 targets. He was targeted 3 times, 3 receptions. He allowed all 3, so 100% reception rate, 62 total yards. He allowed 13 yards after the catch, and he gave up a 44-yard catch. And he also got a PI in the end zone.
Turn your head around and get back towards the ball, and that right there is probably an interception and not a PI.
He was perfect. They were perfect. Trevor Lawrence's QB rating was a 118.8. That was the highest on the team, minus the Brian Cook was 118.8 because it was a 1-for-1 for 3 yards. So, I mean, when you give that up, and that was also a touchdown. They also counted Brian Cooks as the touchdown, so it must have been like a little dink dunk down there. And but it is what it is. But the thing is like, I think Spags has to open it up a little bit. The way that the offense is starting to adjust, and they're giving Brashard Smith more carries, they're giving him more looks. Spags has to now be like, look, we've got the young guns out there. Ashton Gillotte played pretty well, man. He played pretty well. Now, it wasn't his best game, but he managed to get 2 total pressures on the night, and he had 2 tackles as well. So you've got to ask, well, you know, he's not this, he's not that, he's not well, you paid Jerry Tillery in the offseason, and he had 2 tackles and 2 pressures. Charles Omenihu only had 3 total pressures. He did get a sack because he stepped up. But Charles Omenihu also got freaking pancake block on that Trevor Lawrence where he falls down 6 times and walks into the end zone. Like, Omenihu got put on his back. And he just Trevor Lawrence gets up and walks over him. He just like big steps right over the top of him. Don't give George Karlaftis a
pass on that play because he got stood up by a freaking running back.
He did. He did get stood up, but I did go back and watch it, and he did get through the running back and was pursuing. He just was too slow to get there, which is George Karlaftis is that's his Achilles heel. But look, George Karlaftis didn't play bad when it comes to pressures. He had the highest pressure total last night. He had 8.
Right.
Well, he had a sack, and he had a QB hit, and he had 6 hurries. So George Karlaftis was getting after it. Chris Jones, PFF ended up giving him 5 pressures, and he got a QB hit and 4 hurries. But he only had 1 tackle on the night. He didn't get a sack. He had a missed tackle. I went through and watched Chris Jones. I watched every snap, all 22 of Chris Jones today, and let me read you what I found. In the first half versus Jacksonville, Chris Jones took 27 total snaps. One of those was a goal line scrum. Okay, so he was just, almost like the tush push. That's when Trevor Lawrence got the ball batted away. So I took that one out. So he played 26 total snaps in the first half. And so I only got to watch the first half, but I counted how many times he was double teamed, how many times he was single teamed, and if he won the rep. Do you want to guess out of 26 snaps how many times Chris Jones was actually double teamed in the first half?
10.
Close. 8. He only got 8. Do you want to know how many reps he won when he was double teamed?
0.
So that gave him 18 snaps where he was 1v1. The highest, maybe the best defensive tackle to play since Aaron Donald. And some could even argue that maybe that's close. I don't know who would, because Aaron Donald was a freak. But still, out of 18 reps, how many of those reps do you think he won in the first half?
2.
Close. You're pretty close. 3.
Yeah.
Chris Jones won 3 reps in the first half, Steve.
Mike, I've watched a lot of Chris Jones football in the last several years.
And it's becoming that thing where we're like, bro, he's getting double teamed. They're not doing this, they're not doing that. He only got double teamed 8 times, and 2 of those was literally a running back chipping before he takes a route, and I was like, am I going to count that as a double? I think I will because he made contact, but still. So if you wanted to take those off, he only got truly double teamed 5 or 6 times in the first half, and he won 0 reps, man. Like Chris Jones, he's just not. His head's not in the game, and I guess that's where everybody, fought him there on that last play where he wasn't hustling and things.
Can I interject, though? I do think a lot of people have very unrealistic expectations for pass rushers sometimes. Like Chris Jones. They expect Chris Jones to put pressure on a quarterback every freaking play. They expect him to get 4 sacks a game. They just think that's how it's going to be. They act like it's Madden, right? But the reality of it is, if you have a pass rush win rate of around 15%, that is extremely high. You're talking elite territory if you push up towards 20%. 1 out of 5, right? So that's just saying if 15 snaps, he did it 3 times, which is not far from 3 times in 18. That's still not bad. So I think overall, yes, I think Chris Jones could be doing more. I think he should be doing more, but I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be.
Isn't it the contract size though? Because a lot of people are saying because of Chris Jones's big ass contract, we can't get any help for him on the defensive line.
Would anyone say anything about Chris Jones's pressure if he were to get home twice a game? No. So it's all about closing the deal, right?
He had 5 total pressures. If he could have just got 1 sack, people would probably just chill about it.
Exactly. You have to get home. And that goes for George Karlaftis, too. He's got to find a way to get a half step faster. And then, of course, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dan on the other side.
Steve, did you know Charles Omenihu? Charles Omenihu was actually rated per PFF the 4th highest defender we had last night.
Well, I will say
that's his best game of the season, according to
it was 100% his best game of the season. I could have told you that with the eye test.
Yeah,
I was actually going to shout out Charles Omenihu a little bit.
Because we do dog on him a lot, right?
We do, and it's
deserved.
It's not because we don't like him. It's not because we hate him. Nothing like that. It's just the fact that Charles Omenihu's very vocal. He's very confident, probably overly confident sometimes. He's always talking about how he's so great. He should get paid this much. It was a big thing for the last 2 years. He'll get on X and he'll talk all kinds of mad shit about how great he is. Right? But then he gets out on the football field and he doesn't want to produce. And I'm not saying he doesn't want to, but he just doesn't produce. So, of course he's going to catch some crap. But I wanted to shout him out for last night because I actually thought that last night, albeit not a great game from Charles Omenihu, but I think it was a good step in the right direction for Charles Omenihu. We know Charles Omenihu has the ability to be good. If you go back to his first season with the Chiefs in Steve Spagnuolo's defense, he was suspended for the first 6 games, but when he came back in a small sample size up until he got hurt in the AFC Championship game, he was good.
Yes.
He was real good. He was game-wrecking almost. And then it just kind of fell off. And I understand you're recovering from I think it was an ACL that he had. You're recovering from a bad knee injury. That takes some time to get back from. It also takes some time to get comfortable when you get back. I understand all that. So I don't want to give him a pass per se because he just talked a little bit too much. But I will give him a little bit of leeway and I'll give him a little bit of grace. Let's just hope that last night was the first step in the right direction for Charles Omenihu, because him being good and him getting pressures on that side of the defensive line could be a tipping point for this defense. We need that bad.
Yeah, Oh, I absolutely agree. I wanted to give Charles Minihue a shout out too, because again, we're pretty rough on him, but admittedly, it's because we know what he can do. And it's almost as if he thought week 5 was week 1. Maybe he thought these first 4 weeks was the preseason. I don't know.
I mean, maybe he's just getting back in the groove still.
Yeah, and look, he deserves the shout out. He did well. He's the number 4 highest rated player according to PFF this week. He had 3 total pressures. He had a sack. He had a hit. He had a hurry, and he had 2 tackles. So good for him. He had a couple stops behind the line of scrimmage as well. He blew up some plays. So good on him, Minihue. Now, he did get pancaked there at the very end when Lawrence stepped over the top of him. But I'll say this. He was matched up on a tackle. He was matched up on Little, the left tackle, and the guard come over and hit him in the side and kind of wiped him out of the play, put him on his back. So he eventually did get doubled. And look, I was noticing that a lot too. Spags in key situations was not only putting no spies on Trevor Lawrence, but there were several times that he was just rushing 3 down linemen and just dropping back into like some kind of a weird looking, I guess it was a zone, but it was just odd across the board. And like Trevor Lawrence just wasn't getting a lot of pressure on him. And if he was getting big lanes to get out of the pocket. And that's firmly where they beat us, was Trevor Lawrence's legs. Right. Like that's what happened. So I just think Spags got outcoached last night.
Yeah, he did.
He got outcoached. Look, I hate to say it, but Steve, he got outcoached last time he played Liam Cohen. 100% he got outcoached last time he played Liam Cohen. If you remember, he played Liam Cohen back, it was against the Bucs. I don't remember what week it was. It was against the Bucs. But Baker Mayfield completed passes to K-Dot and Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker, Trey Palmer, Raheem Jarrett, Sterling Shepard, and they had like 284 yards of offense. They put up 24 points and forced overtime and lost to the Chiefs. But he was able to take Baker Mayfield and that ragtag group and come out there and beat up on Spags' defense and put us into overtime.
Well, Mike, as University of Kentucky fans, I've been saying this. I wanted Liam Cohen to be our offensive coordinator.
Is Cohen? Is he Spags' kryptonite? Have we found Spags is Lamar Jackson's kryptonite? Is Cohen maybe Spags' kryptonite?
I don't think so.
It's a short sample size, though.
Right. I think it's more of Spags' failure to adjust last night more than anything. Like Cohen adjusted, Spags didn't. So it's almost like he was a sitting duck. He's like, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to keep doing. Figure out how to beat me. And Cohen figured out how to beat him. That's exactly what happened. He didn't adjust at all. But Mike, we could talk about that game forever. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, they lost that game because of silly mistakes, right? Here and there and everywhere, some questionable, weird calls. It was just an odd game all around. And, of course, just some mistakes, execution problems. But it's hard for me to take away a ton of negative from the game, even though there were a lot of problems. I think everybody would be the first to say, what are you talking about? There was this going on, this going on, this going on. The reason why I'm saying that is there anything in that game that happened that couldn't get coached out of this team, that couldn't be corrected?
To me, it was all coachable, and I thought our offensive line played a hell of a game. Patrick Mahomes is starting to look comfortable back there. Our O-line give up 0 sacks yesterday. 0 sacks. And I don't even think they had many penalties. I think, like I said, Kingsley got called on a hold, like a little bogus little hold on a run play. And, of course, Jawan Taylor got called for one, but it's because the wide receiver covered him up on the line. It wasn't his fault. So the offensive line played a hell of a game. Mahomes looks a lot more comfortable. There were times when they were sitting in a zone that Mahomes literally could have ate a steak dinner back there, and he was finding and he was finding Tyquan, and boy is that fun to watch how Tyquan Thornton's starting to look.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. Our receivers are a lot more capable.
Yes.
Now than they've been in a long freaking time, dude.
I'm going to say if there was 3 things in the game that I could call out and nitpick on, it would be this. Number 1, I thought Tobe's special teams the special teams just in general didn't come to play. Now, should Cochran have got those penalties? Maybe one of them, but the other one was bogus. Okay.
Yeah, it was the block.
They ended up they threw a flag on 4 straight kick returns.
Of course.
Like, think about that. Like, you can throw a flag on just about every play in football, and especially a special teams play like that. And they threw a flag on 4 straight. So they had an agenda. The NFL were trying to keep it close. And we've always said the NFL does that. I don't think they sway games, but I think they do things to keep people engaged. They want people watching. They don't want you to turn the channel. And that's what blowouts create. And especially if it's a team that nobody likes, like the Chiefs. They wanted a team that, are they going to upset the Chiefs? And then when the Chiefs didn't have the miracle to pull it off like we did last year, then we just get beat, right?
Well, I think that they saw Patrick Mahomes take a game to overtime and win it with only 13 seconds on the clock. So they thought they would up the ante since there was like 15 seconds or whatever. They were like, let's go ahead and throw a flag here and make him start on the 15-yard line.
Right.
And see how that goes.
Yeah, you're right. So I think, look, Tobe has got to be the first one on my checklist. I'm disappointed in the Noel Williams snaps. And I'll tell you another player I was disappointed by, and this is just a huge disappointment for the whole season. I think this is Veach's biggest blunder. The fact he give up more draft capital to go get Derek Nottie.
Of course.
Steve, Derek Nottie is the lowest rated player on our team. Through 5 games now, Derek Nottie has played 101 total snaps, and he's got 3 tackles, and he's got 2 missed tackles. So he's almost got more missed tackles than he's got tackles. He hasn't a single pressure. He don't have a single hurry. He don't have a sack. He don't have a hit. He don't have a batted pass. He don't have shit. Okay?
Yeah.
He stinks.
I mean, I think anyone that knows anything about football whatsoever knew that was coming.
Brett Veach give up Mike Pennell. And there was people saying, oh, it's probably worth it. But Pennell's getting a little old. Derek Nottie's this. Dude, those are the ass kissers of the world that don't think Veach can do anything wrong. Like, look, I'm not an anti-Veach guy, but Veach can make some stupid mistakes every once in a while. And this was one of them.
Of course. But this is the time of year where he needs to make up for that. Normally, Brett likes to make some kind of acquisition around this time of the year, right before the trade deadline, which I think is November 4th. So we got a little less than a month. You already see teams making moves. Like I said, the Chargers went out and made a move for Owe. They're trying to get their defense ready to go for what's to come. I think they see it's going to be a battle in the AFC West. I think we have to do the same thing. Brett Veach has got to make a move here. And if you're going to make a move here, it's only one of 2 positions that you're going to go for. And it's either going to be running back or an edge rusher, defensive line, something like that. So, and which one's more important? Absolutely the defensive line. Because I think
Andy
that the running backs
commit to the run, Steve.
Exactly. And I think that the running backs last night all 3 of them had a good game, and they weren't even utilized enough to capitalize.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you got to do something here. And look, if Omar Norman Law, I love him. I think he was a good pick. I don't like the way they put weight on him. I don't like how they were trying to use him. It's almost as if they wanted him to become like a Derek Nottie. That's not his game. He's not a guy that was going to have a 20% win rate on pass rushes in college and be dogged for not playing defense at Tennessee. And then you're going to draft him and try to put him up to 315 pounds and make the cat be a run defender. Like, that's ignorant. We've already seen how explosive he can be. And I think adding all this weight and stuff threw him off to a point to where he's playing football differently. I think that's why he's got the ankle injury. I think that's why he hurt his shoulder. I think they've asked him to do things that he's not capable of doing or should be doing. And I think it's like having a toll on his body already. And I think the defensive line's just been a huge miss by Brett Veach. I think getting rid of Pennell for Nottie, drafting Omar Norman Lott. Look, if you wanted Norman Lott to come in and be the Turk Wharton role, like we said, then by all means, he was worth it. If you thought you were going to bump him up to a Derek Nottie, then you're going to turn around and get Derek Nottie again, which has been a complete bust his entire, every year he's been here since 2018.
Right. Well, I'll just end it by saying this. If you're new to Chiefs Kingdom, and me saying that means you just came along around the time of Patrick Mahomes and all the Super Bowl wins, I would just tell you to, if you're going to stay on the ride, you better hang on, because I don't want to get to the end of the season. I'm not going to hear this all year. And then when the Chiefs are competing for the Super Bowl at the end of the year, I don't want to hear the I was there the whole time I'm a Chiefs fan thing. You got to buckle up. You got to ride through this with the team. Everybody goes through it together. That's what fans are for, and that's what we're going to do. We appreciate you guys being here today, by the way. Thank you so much for listening to All Chiefed Up. If you're on Spotify or Apple, do us a favor. Hit that 5-star review and write some kind words down there. That helps get people to find our channel and find good Chiefs content. If you're here on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. We're damn close, like 60, 70. I don't know. But if you haven't subscribed yet, go do that. We would appreciate that a lot. Mike, we have merchandise at merch.allchiefedup.com.
Yes.
You can become a member of the channel at join.allchiefedup.com for $4.99 a month. You can get that subscription, and that helps support the channel. You get some members-only live streams. We give stuff away, sign stuff from players. We have a good time, man. So join that if you would like to support All Chiefed Up. But we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you this week with a lot of content going into the Detroit Lions matchup, because this is officially where we move on from the Jaguars loss. Start looking forward to the rest of the season, because I think it's still going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, me too. I think this is going to be a good week. We'll hear from Andy and everybody starting on Wednesday. So when you're listening to this, Andy's probably either talked or you're going to get suggested that video after this one. So either way, whether you found this from there or you're going there, go listen to what he has to say. And we'll be back live. We'll have a live stream on Thursday night for you guys. And we'll have another video on Saturday as well. So it's going to be a action-packed week, and we got to get ready for Detroit, man. Got to get that dub in Arrowhead.
Let's go, baby. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.